Chips. Welcome for another video lesson to learn things that are related to our lesson for today, Human Environment Systems. Our discussion for today wouldn't be more interesting without the presence of the following lesson objectives that we have for the day. In number 1, we have to distinguish the ways by which human environment interactions shape cultural and natural landscapes. Number 2, to interpret the thematic and mental maps to understand the landscape changes and individual sense of place. And lastly, we have to explain environmental and social issues through the analysis of spatial distributions and spatial processes. All of the following lesson objectives are necessarily be used to understand the foundation of our lesson for today, Human Environment Systems. We will going to continue to elaborate more about human environment system, but we will still need to emphasize the use of the previous lesson as this really connects a lot with our lesson for today. So to have a glance review about hermeneutical phenomenology, our previous lesson. So hermeneutics is to interpret observation to certain situation or study, while phenomenology is to study or observe unusual things or unpredictable events in human experiences. So I will flash some of examples that we could possibly attach to hermeneutical phenomenology. Lastly, if we will going to combine hermeneutics with phenomenology, it would be hermeneutical phenomenology that is concerned with life and world experiences as it live. So the focus of this is to toward the eliminating details and seemingly trivial aspect within experience that may be taken for granted in our lives, with a goal of creating meaning and achieving a sense of understanding. Hermeneutical phenomenology provided our in-depth understanding from conscious-wise unusual issues that we sometimes encounter. From that, some of phenomenological examples that we discussed a while ago may be connected to us humans living in this world. Like hermeneutics, we need to know what is our part from that constant experiences of phenomena we might be dealing in life. So what's we've been waiting for? So let's start now. What's more about a human environment system? What a pleasant idea to start this discussion with a very true quotation. So it says here that the destruction of Earth's environment is human rights challenge of our time. This was said by Desmond Tutu. Desmond Tutu is a South African theologian known for being human rights activist. We can figure it out that environment is closely tied up with us humans. That we can even destroy our nature not knowing because of unseen and not big deal practices we made each day. The justice of how we can sustainably care for our environment is not only in the form of laws that shapes us politically and by the culture that we have that bring up the discipline on us to save our environment from deteriorating. So what is human environment system? Human environment systems is an integrated scientific framework for studying the interference and reciprocal interactions that link human, example, economic and social, to natural and biological, hydrologic, and subsystems of planet. It answers the question, how does people and environment affects each other? If we're going to elaborate more in human environment system, there is the what we call human environment interaction that we should be discussing as well. Human environment interaction is a phenomenon which describes how human beings interact with the environment to obtain their needs from it, and how the environment in return responds to this interaction. Human environment system thus includes the following. First, the way people depend on environment for food, water, timber, natural gas, and etc. The way people adapt the environment to fulfill their own needs, the way people modify the environment positively or negatively, like drilling holes, building dams, and etc. Human environment interaction is similar way of how we were going to talk about the following situations like this. So what we need as a human for survival, why we should adjust to survive, and how do we affect our environment because of so many adjustments that and needs that we need to fulfill. Lastly, why do we need to do the MAD method or the modify, adapt, and depend that will be discussed later on. So, in geography, we study places and relationship between people and environments, and people doing that job called geographers are intended to explore both physical properties of Earth's surface and other human societies is spread across it. So what we need to learn from here are the following. First, how are you going to make your own small business if you live in the peak of a mountain and you're the only person living in that place? If possible, how will you sell your products or your business to the market? So let's say that you're the 12th sibling of your parents, and how equal resources or help you get from your parents. In time of constant life changes or in this world of pandemic, if your father get fired of his job and if your mother keep on tight budget to sustain your sisters and brothers' needs, out of possibilities there would be an upcoming typhoon, so said by the news, or knock on wood, there still be natural calamities or social issues, political issues, and as we need to discuss more of environmental issues that maybe change the way you look at life. Nice, but indeed it's a cruel world waiting for every one of us to be brave. Do you think that geography can help us through the following situations that I've sent? Actually, the answer is yes. To assess poverty, overpopulation, and other major issues in our society is to first look for the reasons why would we come up with that, or how does our environment help us to ease that particular situations that we encounter in this time of pandemic or in our daily lives. Back to geography, there are 5 themes of geography. There are location, place, human environment, interaction, movement, and region. Each of it is very important to know because we need to see and hear how we are related to the system of our environment. To further discuss human environment system, we need to find out first what are objectives of man that destroy our environment if we're not being aware of. So the first thing that is the main goal of a man is to survive because of natural resources that we get from the earth. So let's now know about the following possible sources of resources. Okay? So we have 2 types of resources. We have renewable and non-renewable energy or resources. These are different kinds of environment resources. These are the usual things that we can get from our planet. First of all is natural resources. Natural resources are resources that exist without actions of humankind. Followed by fossil fuel, that is a non-renewable type of resources. These are hydrocarbons, primarily coal, fuel, oil, etc. Energy sources as well is one of the important resources that we can get from this planet. This is something that we can produce from heat, power, life, move object, and produce electricity that is one of the most important thing in our life. Those following sort of things of resources is very important, and that is because of how the planet or the earth help us from our daily living. But the main question here is, how does human affect its environment? Among from the following help that our planet give to us, what is the purpose of humankind? Are we still caring for our environment like it used to be, or not, because we have our personal interest in life? Particular personal interest drives us to be more ambitious that we end up failed to rescue our own environment. These are set of examples of activity that man deals, because we have also our capability on practicing geography. Number one is land use. This involves the management and modification of natural environment or wilderness into built environments such as settlements and semi-natural habitats such as arable fields, pastures, and managed woods. So, another thing is landscaping. So, in landscaping, a property or particular land that must be making improvements or maintaining past improvements on that property grounds, either in practical or in aesthetic way, shall be move or improve for new resettlement of people, particularly in urban areas. Actually, from that following practices, it brought up some of problems that deals with environment. But before we discuss the following major environmental issues, I need to share to you first what is spatial distribution. So, spatial distribution is the arrangement of phenomenon across the Earth's surface and graphical display of such an arrangement that is important tool in geographical environment statistics. This actually involves some of the practices of humans like migration, population changes, aging, death, and etc., as well as some of the changes in particular places that we had to discuss as well. Not only like that, but also changes from climates, weather, and etc. Based on our learning objective, so we can use the following thematic maps that are available through the internet to interpret the following changes that geography has to deal with. So especially in the Philippines, we can rely on natural hazard risk map if we want to search for new property to buy, okay, or something that is about resettlement or investment. We have to see the risk of what is around us or what is about with our environment. So flashing in your screen are the following thematic maps that is available on internet. From the following maps that has been presented, it can help us to locate the geographical picture of Philippines. Not only in the Philippines, but also there are available thematic maps of the world that could be possibly our geographers or even us that could make an interpretation of how does people and environment could possibly jive through to create a harmonious relationship. So for example, if a particular place has a cold weather, so therefore it may affect the way he lives or the way he uh, process to make a stable living. Through the connection or the visible connection of human to its environment, there is a chance that we may also use our resources inappropriately. But we can make better things to stop it and to enhance our environment nowadays. Like what I said a while ago, I'm going to share also the following environmental issues that people has to deal with. So as we can see here, the middle part is the environment, which has to connect from the problem, solutions, and other major ways to correct the following mistakes of people that led to our environment to corrupt. An example of major issue or problem in our environment is global warming, pollution, and other major issues on endangered species and growing of population. So global warming may result from melting of ice caps and rising of sea level and other issues like desertifications and famine, which is the major causes of global warming. Global warming is arguably the greatest cause of impact on environment. This is from the greatest of causes of emanating through the carbon dioxide levels from respiration to more detrimental causes like burning fuels and deforestation. Climate change is closely connected to the historical development of industry and technology. As global temperatures increase, Earth's and weather patterns is drastically change. While some areas will experience longer growing seasons, others will become barren wastelands as water will deplete in vast areas, turning once flora regions into deserts. Deforestation is an exponential expansion in human beings. More food, materials, and shelter are being manufactured and stupendous rates, most stemming from forestry. These are just among the following activities that man cannot deny that really ruined our environment a lot. Other things are due to the fact that we have to deal also with the pollution. Pollution is the introduction of harmful materials into environment. These harmful materials are called pollutants. Pollutants can be natural such as volcanic ash, but they can also be created by human activities such as trash, runoff produced by factories. Pollutants damage the quality of air and water in land and other forms of earth features. Overpopulation is one of the major keys why we still struggling from global warming, pollution, and other major environmental issues. We cannot deny the fact that we are the one also to be blamed from these problems. So overpopulation has grown into an epidemic since mortality rates have decreased, medicine has improved, and methods of industrial farming were introduced, thus keeping humans alive for much longer and increasing the total population. Overpopulation results from an increase of birth rate, decrease of death rate, and immigration to a new ecological niche which with fewer predators and sudden decline of available resources. Like in this web map, we still have solutions and other help that we can make to um, to provide personal contribution in maintaining our environment safe. So for major solution, we can use renewable resources like sun, wind, heat, and earth to avoid depletion of non-renewable resources like coal, gas, oil, and minerals that can also be harmful for our atmosphere if it is burned. So this we have also solutions like recycling of plastics, papers, and metal by biodegradable rubbish compost. Personally, we can switch up to grow vegetables and fruit using natural fertilizers and pesticide, especially now in this time of pandemic at home. So walking, cycling instead of using car is a very effective way to avoid uh, non-renewable resources to deplete and to free our environment from harmful gases. Actually, there are a lot of solutions that we can do to make our environment healthy as well. By the help also of our government, there are some of laws and acts uh, that has been passed to promote environmental awareness and other abusive activities that man can do to our environment or natural resources. An example of it or Republic Act 9003 Ecological Solid Waste Management Act of 2000. This aims to adopt a systematic, comprehensive, and ecological solid waste management program that shall be ensure the protection of public health and environment. The law ensures proper segregation of collection of storage and treatment of disposal solid waste through the formulation and adaptation of the best eco-waste products. Another thing is Republic Act 9275, Philippine Clean Water Act of 2004. It provides for comprehensive and integrated strategy to prevent and minimize pollution through a multi-sectoral participatory approach involving the stakeholders to ensure that water is clean and safe for us. Among from the four major laws for environment in the Philippines is Republic Act 6969 of Toxic Substances, Hazardous and Nuclear Waste Control Act of 1990. This aims to regulate, restrict, prohibit importation and manufacture, processing, sale, and distribution of use and disposal of chemical substances in mixtures that present or unreasonable risk to human health. Lastly, we have Presidential Decree 1586 Environmental Impact Statements or EIS Statement of 1978 that firmly designed to support the following major environmental acts that I said a while ago. So, the Environmental Impact Assessment System was formally established in 1978 with the enactment of Presidential Decree 1586 to facilitate attainment and maintenance of rational and orderly balance between socio-economic development and environmental protection. The process assures implementation of environment-friendly projects. As problems and solutions arises from human and environment, so we cannot deny also that MAD method is really effective to promote environmental awareness. So modify is for people to change the environment. Example, to flatten, cut through land or build roads that we usually do because we have also to survive. We have also some of the interest to move us forward. Next one is to adapt. People adjust to the environment. Example, climate affects clothing and housing. And lastly, we have to depend that people need things from environment like fishing, farming, and hunting. But in return, we have also the obligation and responsibility to care for our Mother Earth, to care for the planet that bears us. For your assessment, we will have a group presentation of human environment concept. So, you're going to explain the following or the infographic that has been presented here in your screen by the use of your learnings in today's topic. Provide examples to understand how modify, adapt, and depend works to aid the environmental issues. This will be the rubric for grading that we will be used for this entire activity. Before this video ends, I want to thank the following references that we use to make this video lesson possible. Thank you for listening. We're done to know things that are connected with human environment systems. Till our next video lesson series. Goodbye!